preserved for us in myths and legends, in folk traditions, and in certain very ancient myths. The testimony of our otherwise lost and forgotten ancestors appears to be trying to tell us that a hideous calamity has descended upon mankind from time to time, that on each occasion has afflicted us suddenly, without warning and without mercy, a thief that this occur at some point in the future. Should it do so, unless we are well fed physically and spiritually, unless we behave towards one another with love and respect rather than hatred and scorn, unless we make positive rather than negative choices, the testimony of the ancient ones that we will be obliged in again like all children, in complete ignorance of our tradition. In this context, as we near the end of the turbulent 21st century, let me share the following stroke finger published, Walking in the Last Day, Hopi Reservation, May 1990. Hopi Reservation, May 1994. Across the high plains of Arizona, day and days and day, a desolate wind blowing. As we drove across those plains, towards the tiny village of Shungapovi, I went over in my mind all I had seen and done. My travels, the false starts and dead ends I had encountered, lucky break, moments when everything came together, moments when I had travelled a long road, far long, whisked us up these austere banks, nor did I expect to any ground. Nevertheless, I had made this just the science prophecy, still believed to be alive among the Hopi. Pueblo distantly to the Aztec Mexico, whose numbers have been reduced by attrition, misery, 10,000. The Hopi believe that we are walking in the last day with a geological sword of Damocles hanging. According to their myths, the first world was destroyed as a punishment for human misdeeds by an all-consuming fire that came from above and below. The second world ended, terrestrial globe toppled from its axis, and everything was covered with ice. The third world ended in a universal presence. The fourth, its fate will depend on whether or not its inhabitants behave in accordance with the Creator's plan. So the present world is the fourth. Its fate fourth. Present world is the fourth. The present world is the fourth. Present world is the fourth. Its fate will depend on whether or not its inhabitants behave in accordance with the Creator's plan. I had come to Arizona to see whether the Hopi thought we would behave according to the end of the world. The desolate wind blowing across the high plains shook and rattled the sides of the trailer home. Beside me was my wife Santa, who'd been everywhere, sharing the risks and the adventures, sharing the highs and the lows. Sitting across from us was our friend Ed Ponis, a medical surgical nurse from Lansing, Michigan. 2 years previously, Ed had worked on, thanks to his colleague, my Ross Paul's 96-year-old Hopi Elspine, the leading spokesman for traditions of his people. Beside him was his granddaughter Melza, a handsome middle-aged who had offered to translate. I have heard that the Hopi believe the end of the world is coming. Is this true? Paul Sifke was a small, wizened man, nut brown in color, dressed in jeans and a cambric shirt. Throughout our conversation, he never once gazed intently ahead, as though he were searching for a familiar face. Elsa put my question, a moment later translated her grandfather's reply. He says, "Why do you want to know?" I explained that there were many reasons. The most important was that I felt a sense of urgency. My research has convinced me, I said, that there was an advanced civilization, long, that was destroyed in a terrible cataclysm. I fear that our own civilization may be destroyed by a similar. There followed a long exchange in Hopi. Then this translated. My grandfather said that when he was a child in the 1900s, there was a star that had been up there in the sky for a long while, and he went to his own grandfather and asked him to explain the meaning of this sign. His grandfather replied, "This is the way our world will end, engulfed in flame. People do not change their way, and the spirit that takes care of it becomes so frustrated that he will punish the world, and it will end just like that star." That was what his grandfather said, that the earth would explode just like that exploding star. So I summarize. The feeling is that this world will end in fire, and having viewed the world for the past 90 years, does your grandfather believe the behavior of mankind has improved, or worse? He says it has not improved. We're getting worse. So in his opinion, then, the end is coming. He said that the signs are already there. He said that nowadays nothing but the wind blows, that all we do is have a weapon pointed at one another. That shows how far apart we have drifted and how we feel towards each other now. There are no values and none at all, and people live any way they want, without morals or law. These are the signs that the time has come. Melza paused in her translation, then added on her own account, "This terrible wind, it dries things out. It brings no moisture. The way we see it, this kind of climate is a consequence of how we're living today, not just us, but your people as well." I noticed that her eyes had filled with tears. I have a cornfield, it's really dry, and I look up into the sky and try to pray for rain. But there is no rain, no clouds even. And when we're like this, we don't even know who we are. There was a long moment of silence, and the wind blowing hard, steady across the mesa as evening fell around. I said quietly, "Please ask your grandfather if he thinks that anything can now be done for the Hopi and for the rest of kind." The only thing he knows, Mel replied when she had heard his answer, is that so long as the Hopi do not abandon their tradition, they may be able to help themselves and to help others. They have to hold on to what they believed in them. They have to preserve their memory. These are the most important. But my grandfather wants to tell you also, and for you to understand, that this earth is the work of an intelligent spirit, creative and intelligent spirit, designed everything to be there. My grandfather says that nothing is here just chance, that nothing happens by accident, whether good or bad, that there is a reason for everything. When human beings around the globe, from many different cultures, are a powerful and overwhelmed wish, we are within our rights to ignore them. And when the voices of our distant ancestors, descending to us through myths and sacred architecture, speak to us physical obliteration of a great civilization in remote antiquity, and tell us that our own civilization in jeopardy, we are entitled, if we wish, to stop up our ears. So it was, the Bible says, in the antediluvian. For in those days, before the people were eating, drinking, taking wives, taking her, right up to the moment that Noah went into the abyss, how the flames swell away. In the same manner has been prophesied that the next globe shall fall at an hour we do not suspect, lightning striking in the east and flashing far into the west. The sun will be dark, the moon will lose its brightness, the stars will fall from the sky, and the powers of heaven be shaken. Then of two men in the fields, one is taken, one left, and of two women at the millstone grinding, one is taken, one left. What has happened before can happen again. What has been done before can be done, and perhaps there is indeed nothing new. The sun.